What's goody, everybody? It's your boy T-Bandit with the Lambo. You already know the vibes. You know we back with another video. But before I move forward, I do want to apologize for the lack of content that I've been putting out, because this past week I've been really invested in playing this video game so I can get you guys a review. And with that being said, guys, I'm done with the game and we can get this review started. The game that I am talking about today is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You feel me? This game was fantastic. I loved it. To me, in my opinion, it's the game of the year. Now, I know it didn't make deadline. No, it didn't make deadline to be nominated for Game of the Year, which to me is bullcrap, because you got Death Stranding that came out on the 8th of November. Then you got this game that came out a week later, and you gonna let a week decide whether this game is gonna be Game of the Year or not? To me, that's bull, man. You should, they knew this game was coming out on the 15th or whatever, so they should have waited. They should have waited, in my opinion, because this game up against Death Stranding definitely would have been a tough decision. Now, I did not play Death Stranding, so I know I have kind of like a biased opinion, but I did buy it. I did buy the game, despite my opinions toward it. I bought the game because of another YouTuber named Witty. He made a video talking about how the game is more than meets the eye. You actually have to pick up the controller and get hands-on with it. So I was like, I normally trust his judgment. So with that being said, I was like, you know, let me go ahead and pick up the game. Let me cop the game. I'll make my own opinion on it, all of that good stuff. So I actually bought it, and I will probably do a review later on. I actually loaned it out to somebody while I was playing Jedi. Shout out to Witty. If you guys have not subscribed to his channel, I will leave a link to his channel in the description below. You will love his channel. He does like reaction videos and live streams and like good stuff. He's actually part of the reason why I actually decided to make my own YouTube channel. So yeah, please check him out. He's dope. All his videos is dope. You know what I'm saying? Do that for me. Let's get down to the review, guys. We got pros and we got cons of this video game. Now, I will say there are cons. This game is not flawless, but it is a very good game. So we're gonna start with the pros. First things first is the story. The story to me is phenomenal. Like, it takes place between the movies Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Star Wars Rogue One. Coming from a person who has never watched the movies, okay? I've never watched these movies. You can pick up this game and you can play it without any problems. You don't have to watch these movies. I will say it probably will help to watch the movies. You probably will understand more than I did, but I was never confused at any point about what was going on. They did a really good job with the story, with making people who haven't seen these movies know what's going on and understand what's going on, okay? Yeah, you play as a former Jedi or Jedi in training named Cal Kestis. At this point, you know, I think it was after something called Order 66. The Jedi at this point are pretty much extinct, and Cal Kestis is in hiding, I guess you can say. And he is forced to use his Force abilities, which puts him on the radar of the second sister in the Empire. The second sister is also known as the Inquisitor. They get wind of that there's a Jedi in the area, and they pretty much find out that Cal Kestis is the Jedi, and that's how you become on the run or whatever from this lady. You end up bumping into this woman named Seer and this alien named Grease, and you guys, you know, come together and decide to go on this mission together. Wait, before I move forward, you find out that Seer is actually a former Jedi. None of this is crazy spoilers, okay? This is all what you're gonna get in the first like 10 minutes of the game. You find out that Seer is a former Jedi. You agree to, you know, go on this mission together, and pretty much what you're trying to do is find this object that has a list of all of the names of the Force sensitive children in the galaxy. You want to get this list before the Empire or the Inquisitor does, because they're gonna use it to kill all of the kids, you know, all of the Force sensitive children. Without getting into too much spoiler, that's what you got to do throughout the game. But the way the story is made is great. Like, I was wrapped into the story. I felt for every character, and not only do you feel for the main character, Cal Kestis, but you end up feeling a lot for Seer. You know what I'm saying? I was like, her story at first, I was like, it doesn't sound very interesting, but it is. It's very interesting. Once you go throughout the story and see, you know, little flashbacks, it's great. Like, the way they did this was phenomenal, and it actually made me want to go and watch the movies. I end up subscribing to Disney Plus so I can watch the movies because of how good this was, you know, going. Story-wise, fantastic. Without a doubt, I have no problems in this story. The story was great. Next thing is exploration. The exploration to me is dope. And before I move forward with that, I will say the transition from planet to planet is fantastic. You got about 5 or 6 explorable planets that you can land on and, you know, go off and do your thing. The scenery or the transition between the two planets is, to me, is just dope. It's very seamless, and it's a loading screen in disguise, but the way they disguise it is great. Like, you go on the ship, you pick your planet, the ship rises up, you zoom off into space, and while this is all happening, you can freely move around the ship. It's not like you're like stuck in cinematic. You can freely move around the ship, but the time that Grease, which is the captain of the ship, he tells you, okay, we're about to enter hyperspace. That's when you have to sit down. When you sit down in the seat, it enters a little short cinematic that shows him warping out and into the planet. It's just dope. It makes it feel like you're really exploring space. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate the amount of detail they put into that portion of the game. Now, back onto the exploration. This game has a lot of exploration. Like, normally I finish a game in entirety and then I come back and then I do the exploring, you know what I'm saying? But this game, they make you want to explore as you move along. So that's what made me take so long to beat the game, because I was just like exploring everything, you know what I'm saying? I ended up beating the game with a lot of the collectibles already collected, you know what I'm saying? I normally don't do that. This game does a really good job on making you want to see what's out there, because there's certain parts of the planets that you can't access until you get certain abilities. As soon as you get those abilities, you're like, oh, let me go back to this planet so I can use my ability to see what was over there, you know what I'm saying? So they did a really good job with exploration, and it make you really want to get indulged in everything that these planets have to offer. So I really like exploration. Another thing is the lightsaber customization. I was a little bit misled with the customization. I thought that the lightsaber customization will make your lightsaber stronger. That's not the case. It's all just aesthetics, the way it looks. But I really do appreciate the customization. It makes it so that it's like your own lightsaber. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's lightsaber is different. You go on YouTube, you can watch people's walkthroughs and people's game let's plays and things like that, and everybody has a different lightsaber. So I thought that was a really cool touch to add, and I really appreciate that. Next is the combat and the skill tree. Combat is swift, it's smooth, I love it. It is a learning curve though. You can't just dive deep into this game and think you're gonna be head honcho. You gotta really learn the combat. It kind of is like a lot of dodging and evading, a lot of parrying. Each enemy attacks you a different way. You have to learn which attacks you can parry and which ones you can't, and then you have to use all of that in order to defeat your opponent. It's a really great combat system. A lot of people say it reminds them a lot of Sekiro. I have not played Sekiro yet. I actually have it, but I will be playing that later on in life. I don't know when. A lot of people says it reminds me of Sekiro and all of that good stuff. The game also, combat-wise, reminds me of like God of War, the PS4 version of God of War. Also, the traversal system, it kind of reminds me of Uncharted, like when you're climbing on things and swinging from ropes and sliding down ice slides and mud slides. Dope. All of that is dope. You know what I'm saying? Also, there's a part of the game. This is kind of, I guess this is a little tiny spoiler. It's an ability that you get. You get the ability to breathe underwater with this thing called the breather, and it's exactly what you get in like Tomb Raider. So that's another game that reminds me of Tomb Raider. This game has a lot of PlayStation exclusive qualities. Now I know that Tomb Raider isn't this PlayStation exclusive, but it reminds me a lot of Uncharted and God of War. Like if they both was to have a baby, this is the game that they would have. You know what I'm saying? In a Star Wars universe. Onto the skill tree. There are a lot of skills in this game that you will want to, you know, pick up during the game. Now me personally, I lean more toward the health first. So I would make sure that my health was always 2 steps ahead of my other skill trees. So you got your health, you got your lightsaber, you got your force. You can choose which skill point you want to use for each category. So I made sure that my health was always 2 steps ahead of any of the other ones. So I normally did 2 things on my health, 1 thing on my force, and 1 thing on my lightsaber. And then eventually I got to the point where I had enough skills to be pretty good. And there are some skills that you are going to want to use over and over and over again. I don't want to get into too much spoiler, but there was this one particular skill that I could not beat the game without. Like I love this skill. It made it so much easier for me. And once I learned that I can do it on certain enemies, I just use it all the time. You know what I'm saying? All the time. You're going to love to see all of the different variations of things you can do with your lightsaber and all of that good stuff. Now let's get down to the cons. There are some cons, and the first one I will say is the game is a little bit buggy. There were times where I would attack an enemy and they would just freeze and they wouldn't move. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, whatever. And there were times where I was in the middle of a boss battle. You got this little robot on your shoulder named BD1, and he shoots you these health stems. He'll shoot up a health stem, you'll catch it and inject yourself. There'll be times where I would press up on the D-pad. He'll say, hey BD, I need a health, and he'll shoot the health up, and the sound will happen like he shot the health up, but nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, this is kind of inconveniencing, because that time that you need to inject yourself is very critical. If it's a minute late or a second late, you know what I'm saying, like you will die. That right there, where something so critical like that, you would think that they would have, you know, fixed that bug first, but it's not like game changing. Like it didn't make the game worse for me. It made it a little more difficult, but I still really enjoyed the game. Okay, so the next thing is there were these really long loading times where, like for example, there was these tombs that you explore in the game, and you take an elevator to get to the very bottom of the tomb. I would get in the elevator, it'll go all the way down, and right before I reach the very main floor of the tomb, it will stop and it will load for like 2 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not exaggerating either. I'll be sitting there, and it was like, it looks like it's loading up everything below ground. I was like, come on, man. You can't do that to me. I'm at this point in the game. I don't want to go through this at this point in the game. You feel me? And it happened a lot, and I don't know if it's because I kept my game on for so long, but it was really getting on my nerves, and it made it a little bit of a bad experience. A little bit, not a whole lot, but it was like, come on. Second thing is, I will say, some of the skin textures on people, like Seer. There's times where you're talking to Seer, and her face is really blurry, and it's like, what were they doing with this? You know what I'm saying? Or also, Forrest Whitaker's character, his face was like incredibly like blurry, and I was like, man, they got lazy with those characters. I don't know. Everybody else looks great. I mean, there's times where you're standing, you like, as Cal Kestis, and the wind is like blowing and his hair is flowing. It was like, oh, the visuals are fantastic, but just some of the skin textures could use some work. That's another flaw. But my last con, and it's pretty much a personal thing, because this game doesn't need it, but I would have liked it, and I would like more stealth, more stealth in the game. The only thing I can say that's stealth in the game is if you are above an enemy and you jump down right on top of him, a little icon will pop over his head, like the attack button, and you'll slice him, one-hit kill. Depending on how strong the enemy is, it'll be a one-hit kill. And that's the only thing that's stealth in this game, because once you do that, if there's any other people in the area, you're done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could try to hide like in a place where they can't see you, and then eventually they'll walk back off, and then you can do the same thing, jump and slice. But for the most part, there's no stealth in this game. And now I know you don't need it, but I'm a stealthy kind of person, so I like, if I can go in an area with a room full of enemies and take them out one by one without anybody knowing, I definitely would do that. So that's why I was like, I wish there was some stealth in this game, but it doesn't need it, you feel me? So I'm not really too disappointed. I just was like, man, I really would have wanted that. But yeah, overall, guys, that's how I feel about the game. Pros and cons. If I can give this game a score out of 10, definitely gonna give it a 9 out of 10, and the only reason is because of those tiny little flaws I had with the game. Other than that, guys, this game is fantastic. So if you guys are having a hard time deciding if you want to get it, take what I say into consideration. Go pick up that game. If you have the money right now, I'm telling you, you will not regret it. It's fantastic. With that being said, guys, that's the video. That's how I feel about the game. I want to thank you guys for getting me to 102 subscribers. Let's keep this channel growing. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate all the support this far. We're going to get more content out to you guys as soon as I can. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video. How did you guys feel about the game? I would love to know how you guys felt in the comments below. Or if you did not buy it and you're skeptical, did my review help you on your decision on buying the game? Leave that in the comments below as well. Make sure you share this video with your friends, give it a thumbs up, hit that bell icon to stay notified when I drop new content. And with that being said, guys, peace.